Hello guys, NautoAce here, and I too want to give my thoughts on E3 2022 being cancelled, whether it's in person or online. And the reason I'm gonna give my thoughts as well is, of course, you've been following all my three channels. During the month of May before E3 week, I always do a special called the pre-hype special. So I've been doing it in the past, and of course, if you notice for 2022 with the classic thoughts, I just posted E3 2012 to 2014. And spoiler, I mean, if you're not a fan of the classic thoughts, I understand, but there will be classic thoughts about E3 2015. So either it's a good thing, bad thing, depends on your perspective, but it is what it is there. But with that said, of course, first, the update, the elephant in the room. Am I going to do an E3 2022 pre-hype special? Well, since once again, just like in 2020, there's not going to be an E3 event, then chances are probably not obvious there. However, there will be some videos sort of related to E3. Of course, the first one is E3 a year later, because of course there is E3 2021. So the idea behind that is giving my thoughts of what happened starting at E3 2021, which is June, all the way to May of 2022. So just random thoughts of mine, just the thing that kind of impact me. That's basically it. So what about what do I want to see at E3? There isn't, so it's probably going to be something different. What do I want to see? Well, you know what? Let's just go with this. The Summer Game Fest with Jeff Keighley. There you go. So, yeah. So since there is not going to be any E3 special this week, except for a year later and the classic thoughts, it's going to be E3 2015. Just take a note of that one. Is probably going to be mostly the Summer Game Fest or something own exclusive, maybe Nintendo Summer Special, State of Play Summer Special, whatever Summer Special. So that's basically what the plan is. So now my thoughts of it. It might bum out, I guess a bit, because E3, like a lot of people say, it's a Super Bowl of video game where all the big company go together and showcase what their game is starting at June all the way to next June. That's basically it. It could be even more, but since we're in the age of the internet, social media, Twitter, Facebook, heck, YouTube, Twitch, what's kind of point of doing it to some extent? And a lot of this company, whether you like it or not, and I did talk about it way before, even heck, when the old G4 still exists, I was in the forum talking about it. A lot of this big company, even so they like to show their game so people will get intrigued and maybe buy their game, they're not a fan of E3 because they have this sort of a self-mandatory rule that you're going to show something, and of course you do something at E3 that costs money. That's why Nintendo was the first one to bail out at E3 2013. And yes, I was one of the people that said that's kind of bullshit why Nintendo's doing it, why they're going different, what's wrong with the live conference. And I hate to say it, a lot of people, including Review Tech USA, said they had the right choice, they had the right idea, they had a feeling that this live conferencing wasn't going to work. And of course, if you're wondering why even do it in the first place, was what the gist of it is, the kerfuffle of E3 2012. There was a rumor that there was something big on their conference and they bailed out in the last minute. That's why Nintendo Land. And at the same time, according to Reggie at the time, a lot of the higher-ups in the development team they're not comfortable doing the live conference in foreign country. So they had a talk and they just said, you know what, fine. We're just going to do a Nintendo Direct. And that was it. And yeah, I mean, there was even rumor that they were hearing from people that it sucks, it's bullshit, but Nintendo, they don't listen. We know what we're doing. And they were right. So, of course, Sony followed suit. Some other company followed suit. And the common reason is, to some extent, is it gets expensive. There are even certain companies that even bail out even before Nintendo was doing this thing, even before the pandemic. The one that I remember off the top of my head is SNK Playmore. They used to go to E3, I think 2006, 2007. But then by 2008, they decided we're not going to go to E3 anymore. And the reason is they don't have a budget for it. They just wasn't working for them. They were losing a lot of money to the point they said, you know what, we're just going to do our own thing. And of course, granted, at that time, 2008, 2009, 2010, whatever, social media wasn't a big thing yet. You know, it was still MySpace to some extent, if I remember. And it was a time that having a social media account was considered, believe it or not, taboo. It is a shocker, but that's a different story there, different time. Now it's like, okay, whatever, as long as you just don't ruin the company's reputation, different story there. So yeah, of course, you know, EA, they bail out E3, they were supposed to do something, and they also now bail out at EA Play 2022, they probably have nothing to show. Of course, Sony even decided to bail out E3 at some point because, again, it's just that they're just spending more money and people are just like, well, it's not really that unique. Like, are you gonna wow us? Not really. I mean, right now, unfortunately, with Sony to some extent is the reason they're not making a lot of Sony games, first party games to some extent, is that a lot of the games, good it may be, the graphics, the content, the performance, whatever you say, is basically uber awesome to some extent. It's also expensive. I mean, I'll probably give my thoughts in a different video about their PlayStation Plus Premium upgrade. If you heard about that, it's trying to quote unquote compete with Game Pass, but of course, not even close. But they have their own reason. I kind of agree with it. I know, shocker, but I'll probably gonna give that story my thoughts on a different video there. But yeah, so going back to E3, yeah, I can understand why E3 is like, it's not like it's exciting it used to be because of the age of the internet, the age of technology, social media. Anybody can just do a YouTube presentation and people get wowed about it. So yeah, live conference is like, a lot of people just don't care about it. I mean, well, what about talking about the game? Well, again, you can just do that in a segment. Just saying there, you know, go to XPlay, go to Giant Bomb, GameSpot, Spawncast, whatever, you get the idea. So, you know, you can just do stuff on either Twitch or YouTube. It is what it is there. So, thoughts about it, like I said, it is what it is. I'm not too sad about it, but I mean, it is changing. Sometimes change is necessary, whether it's good or bad, but I think for this one, sort of to some extent, it is change is good. Perhaps they'll do something better because they did say that ESA that they're going to do something at E3 2023, but who knows what's going to happen about it. And as for my update for a special, if there's no E3 to some extent, there's no E3 special, but I might probably do some different special. We'll just wait and see there. Anyway, that's all my thoughts about E3 2022 being canceled, whether it's in person or online. It is what it is. Can't do anything about it. So with that, I'll see you guys later.